What's up guys, I'm back like I never left. In this video we're going to be talking about the major companies that are going to be reporting earnings and what are the top stocks that we need to be watching out for. I'm going to go over the expected mood for these companies, and we also going to be talking about the overall stock market. There is a big event that can swing the stock market to the downside or to the upside depending upon how people and how investors react. So I'm going to cover what are the important price levels that we need to be watching out for the overall market too. I'm also going to go over some important key price point levels that we need to be watching out for and go over some important economic reports that can affect the stock market for tomorrow. So make sure you stay tuned. Now let's get right into the video. Before we get into the video, I appreciate if you can hit the like button. If you have any questions, any comments, make sure you drop in the comment section below. As you can see over here, we have the overall stock market that closed lower, that traded to the downside, mainly because the big companies like Amazon, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft, they were trending to the downside. So, all of these major companies, they reported their earnings on Thursday after hours. Even though their numbers were solid, the stocks decides to sell off to the downside. So the only company that performed very well after beating the earnings reports was Google. It was up 3.8% to the upside, and that was fantastic for that specific company only. So we expect a significant move for this stock market for next week, mainly because of the overall election results being announced. And we also have COVID cases that have been rising across the US and also in Europe. We have France, Germany, now the UK, the United Kingdom is actually going on lockdown mode. So that is not really good for the overall stock market. So we definitely have to expect some form of volatility due to these two factors. Now let's go over what could potentially happen in the overall stock market. As you can see over here, we have the overall stock market that is currently trading at $326.54. So the first support area that we're going to be watching out for is going to be the 320 area. So depending upon if investors are super fearful or optimistic, we might expect the stock price to hold this price point level or just go to the downside, so we might potentially go to 315. Worst case scenario, it can go to 300. So the election results might not be announced next week.
It's definitely going to be probably beyond Tuesday. It could be days or more before we get a reliable result because those laws in the states vary so widely. And so does the way that people are voting this year. For example, in battleground North Carolina, Sheila Baumgartner describes herself as an independent. She says she voted by mail this year for Joe Biden.
I'm very positive about the whole situation. I think all of our votes will count.
Well, here's the tricky part. In North Carolina, according to our latest NBC News Marist poll just out, 76% of those who are voting by mail say they support Joe Biden, but of those who are going to vote in person on Election Day, 67% plan to vote for President Trump, so almost a mirror image. North Carolina is one of the 21 states and the District of Columbia that will accept mail-in ballots that arrive after Election Day, as long as they're postmarked by November 3rd, though that, of course, is the subject of ongoing legal challenges in states like North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Minnesota. Some states will be able to get a jump on counting those mail votes, notably Arizona, Iowa, and Texas, all among those that can start counting ballots, counting them actually before Election Day. So we should see full results there pretty quickly. But here's where the log jams could come in. In 7 states, they can't even touch those absentee ballots, can't verify signatures, can't even take them out of the envelope, let alone count them until Election Day or the day after. And that includes the crucial states of Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Bottom line, John, we almost certainly will not know the result on election night.
Yeah, and certainly not in those states. So let's focus in on those 3 that were pretty crucial 4 years ago: Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. What are they saying about how long it might actually take to count those mail-in votes?
And crucial this year as well, of course, John. Wisconsin, they're saying they still think they can get it done in a day. Michigan, they think they can get it done in a week. Pennsylvania, very much an open question. And because that state is so closely contested and so rich in electoral votes, that's the one that may keep us up for quite a while.
The number of COVID cases are significantly rising across the states, and the number of the people that are being hospitalized are also rising too. So if some states decide to lock down, that could potentially hurt the overall sentiment of the stock market. We might trend lower and lower, and we might hit $300 within the next few weeks, the next few months, so definitely keep an eye on for these key price point levels, which is the 320 area. So now let's talk about the major companies that are going to be reporting earnings for next week. So we have for Monday, right after the market close, we got PayPal, AMC, Solar Edge, and before the market open, we have Wingstop, West Management that's going to be reporting earnings. When we move on to Tuesday, we also have before market opening, we got Ferrari, Cisco reporting earnings, and on Wednesday before the market open, we have Hilton. After the market closed, we got Qualcomm, Zynga, Upwork, Plus, Watch, and Thursday, this is going to be the top stocks that I'm going to be watching out for. That's going to be Square, Roku, and Peloton. And we also have Dropbox and Uber reporting earnings. So the top 3 stocks that I'm going to be watching out for specifically that have Catalyst earnings. Catalyst is going to be, the number 1 is going to be Square, the number 2 is going to be Roku, and the third one is going to be Peloton. And we have on Friday, it's going to be CVS that's going to be reporting earnings before market open. So I'm going to cover these 3 stocks, and we're going to go over exactly what is the expected price moves for these companies once they announce their earnings. So now let's go over the first company, which is going to be Square. Square is a company that ARK Invest holds. They hold them in multiple of the ETFs, and as you can see, the stock is currently trading at $154.88. So it's down. We had a huge sell-off that happened to the downside. So the expected move for Square is $16.71. It can either go to the upside or to the downside. That is a 10% move. So after earnings, when they report on Thursday, we might expect, and as options price makers are anticipating a 10% move either to the upside or to the downside. So that is going to be expected for this company. So we might expect the stock to drop all the way below $140 if it decides to sell off to the downside, or it could potentially go higher and go trade above $160, $165. So definitely keep an eye on it. Of course, we have the election news that can potentially affect these stocks as we get closer and closer to Thursday. So this stocks could potentially, be trending lower and lower, just like the overall stock market. And that can definitely have an impact on where the stock price point levels can be at on Thursday. So keep in mind those specific price levels, so adjust those price levels as we get closer to a Thursday. So the second company that we're going to be looking at is going to be Roku. As you can see, it made a 52-week high as approximately $239.14. So on Friday, it's down 7.13% to the downside. So that is a significant drop within one day. And this company can swing up and down a lot for earnings reports. So definitely keep an eye on it. And the potential move for this company is a 12% move to the upside. To the downside, there's $26 move to the upside. If it decides to spike up higher, that can put it right around over here, which is $228. And if it sells off to the downside, we might expect it to trade below $180. So definitely keep in mind that this stock can potentially move lower or higher depending upon what can happen to the overall stock market. Election day is coming up pretty soon, so the results can be announced pretty soon. That can have an individual impact on these companies. So the last and the third company we're looking at is going to be Peloton. In a phenomenal past few months, as you can see, it's been trending to the upside. It hit a 52-week high of $139.75. And just like the other companies that we talked about, it's been trending to the downside. On Friday, it's down minus 4.92%. The expected move for Peloton is $14.70, either to the upside or to the downside. That is a 13% move. So this stock can definitely swing up and down. There's been a lot of people that have been buying the equipment from Peloton. They really like it. So we might expect that, their earnings report to be solid too, but that is not the case for the majority of the companies that reported phenomenal earnings reports. These COVID stocks like Amazon, even though their earnings reports were phenomenal, the stock went to the downside. So more than 70% of these companies that can benefit from the COVID and that have solid earnings reports, they've been selling out to the downside significantly after they reported their earnings. So keep in mind this important statistics if you want to get involved in these 3 companies. So now let's move on to what are the important economic reports that can potentially affect the stock market for tomorrow. For Monday, November 2nd at 9:45 a.m. we got the manufacturing PMI. That's going to be for the period of October. The previous was 53.3. At 10 a.m. we got the ISM manufacturing index. It's going to be for the period of October. The previous was 55.4%. At 10 a.m. we got the construction spending. It's going to be for the period of September. The previous was 1.4%. So all the times that I mentioned is going to be Eastern Standard Time. So these can have an impact in the stock market in the short term, but we're mainly going to be watching out for is the overall stock market reacting to the overall election. So definitely keep in mind that these reports can only have minor effect on it, specifically for tomorrow. So make sure you have a solid plan before you get involved in any of these companies that I talked about. Make sure you manage your risk, and it's going to be, the market's going to be super volatile next week, so be super careful. And if you have any questions, any comments, make sure you drop in the comment section below. If you want to join the Discord chat or join the Patreon page or get 3 free stocks from Webull, links available in the description box below. But I catch you guys on tomorrow's video. Let's get it. Have a wonderful day.